So you can see it's obviously a hassle. I don't think Mark meant to put that U-turn in there, and the rest of the code has just been sort of cut off. So with that, you can see that Mark kind of did need an Ozobot with him to make sure that his code was being read properly. Without having an Ozobot, he just obviously thought everything was going to be hunky-dory, but that wasn't the case. However, when looking at it, Mark could make those adjustments. He could make, he could see what went wrong and add them on to fix that, to come up with a solution. So that links straight in with the learning criteria and success outcomes, where students are able to find errors and make solutions from there using algorithms and using codes and finding that last end solution. So this is the next work sample. It is the reflection survey. So I did create this Google form, which there is an active link to in the lesson plan itself on the first page. So just some questions. Did you find it challenging to code a path for an Ozobot? Yes or no? Why? So this comes straight after activity 1. So they went home, they made their code from a sheet. They came in, they showed the code. If it worked, if it didn't work, they got feedback, they gave feedback to others. They then got to change the code and then got to share it again. So this has come straight after that. So then worked with the Ozobot twice, but the same code, just adding and adapting different changes that didn't work out. So do you think it will be easier to code when you have access to an Ozobot? Yes, it was hard to know what the code looked like when it was designing. So that links straight in with a learner who needs something tactile. He or she needs something tactile to physically work through when creating an algorithm to finish a story. Some students may be able to just look at it, think logically, look at it right there, and know it will be okay. This student, obviously not. So that's just looking at those Gardner's multiple intelligences. Do you think using their criteria when designing your code, or would you rather have no criteria to follow? So this student says criteria helps me, so they obviously needed something set in stone. They weren't very creative people, they couldn't come up with their own ideas, whereas others may say, no criteria would have been fine, I would have been able to explore more. Question 4, what did you like about coding for an Ozobot? It was simple and all the codes were provided, I just had to put them in order as we liked. So that just goes on again, they're not creative people. It was hard, if they didn't have a code, it would be hard for them. If they didn't have any stimulus to support them, it'd be hard. They didn't know what they could actually do. What did you find challenging about coding or using an Ozobot? Sometimes it changed paths, as we saw in Marks, without being coded to. Also, it didn't always complete the code. So again, as we saw in Marks, there was a hassle that needed to be fixed, and sometimes it can be quite stressing, it can be quite stressful if they've put the code in wrong or there's slight errors. The Ozobot picks it up. And number 6, if you were given this activity again, what would you do differently? So the student has said experiment with what the codes look like first before putting them together. So obviously they needed something tactile that they could trial and error through the process, and they needed to see what worked, what didn't, what looked good together, what didn't. So this is activity 2 work sample. So this is the we're going on a bear hunt code. So we've got the grass, the water, the mud, the forest, the wind, and the cave. So it's like going through those particular things. During this time also, students were asked to think about the transitions they would have between each sort of scene of the book. So this student has used a pause. So every time there is a pause, that's a different transition. So they've obviously chosen that as a significant stop. We're moving on to the next section. So let's have a look what it looks like. There's the pause right there, and then it keeps going. So using that, they're able to have a look at the sequential process and adding in small little stops for them to see better. This student didn't incorporate the visual stimuluses. Maybe they didn't need it, maybe they understood and they could just see the codes and knew what they represented. However, the student before did need those visual stimuli to have there, saying that's the wind, that's the water, that's the forest, that's the grass per se. And so they're able to identify each part of the story and how it all flowed. So this was just one of the general groups, and then this is a fast track of it going backwards. Do the codes change? What happens per se? So as you can see, the code did not work going backwards, so that's something the students were able to reflect on in their, reflective questions at the end of the lesson. As I've just explained, this whole assessment part B, assessment 1 part B, just in-depthly explain each part of the lesson, why I've made some decisions, and looking at those multiple intelligences of students and how small changes are better able to help them and to boost their confidence in completing tasks. Thank you. This has been Sarah Murphy, student number S00226086.